Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakaha Kodash. A double honors unto the apostles and elders of JMS Great Millstone, and a sincere Shalom to Yakim bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. So this is just in transit, and as I'm driving, I'm looking at a bunch of semi trucks, man. Trailer trucks. And ultimately, whatever the content of these trucks is, and we understand there's going to be a time in which these truckers are going to be out of work, right? And in essence, that means, that there's going to be a lack of goods, that affects you, right? That affects these people here in the cities, man. All right, so I want to start off with the book of Ecclesiastes 12. Right, because we understand that Yahweh Shema Shai is slowly affecting the supply chain, man. And it's a gradual step. Now, he thinks it's him moving the chess pieces, but ultimately, it's Yahweh Shema Shai moving forth these chess pieces so that the end of this age, this ion, could end, man. Right? Now, this is Ecclesiastes 12. Matter of fact, I'm going to start here at the third verse. It says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened." Hey, now we understand, as the scripture speaks, man, the grinding shall cease. Now, what's beautiful about this scripture, this precept here, about the grinding cease, is that when you take a look into our ancient customs, women, were at the mill daily, for the service of making bread. Making bread was a daily occupation for women back in the ancient days. And when the scriptures talk about the grinding ceasing, that's ultimately showing forth that mill, stopping, or not only stopping, but it being destitute, which means grain was destitute, right? So when the grinder ceased, bread, which was a common everyday bake, besides the Sabbath, that stopped. So that work was done. That work was no longer being used, because everyone was feeling the hit, man. Right? Grinding was ceased due to what? A lack of certain grains, which means what? There was a lack of food, which means it was a lack of work, because work brought in the food. When we go into that word salt, it goes into the word salary, or salary goes into the word salt, vice versa, which was basically the daily wage. And without that daily wage and the economy being, sustained, it was hard to eat. It was hard to eat. So women weren't at that mill grinding anymore. Much like in the times that we're coming into, you see that the government shutdown just occurred. They're saying over 750,000 jobs will be affected. Along with that, you have the AI, or automation, as Elder Yashawamba calls it, artificial idumia, right? That's taking over an abundance of jobs. Here it is. Articles are coming out that are there being too many individuals enrolling in college and graduating? So it shows you that the future is very grim for this place. It speaks about the pomp and circumstance, or it's like the pomp of Babylon, being brought low. And it's beautiful that the scriptures say that, because when you look at the graduation song, in which played at high school graduations, college graduations, it's a song called Pomp and Circumstance, right? Basically a turning over a new leaf, so to speak, man. Entering into a new era for those graduates, which these people are going into college for the hopes of obtaining, a salary or a job that's going to, be beneficial for them in this new economy. And that's not the case anymore, right? A lot of people are graduating and are having to work at fast food jobs because there's a lack of work in all these fields, including your STEM, your science, your tech, your engineering, and your medicine, man. So it's really not mattering where you're going after you graduate. Because ultimately Yahweh Shema Shah is bringing forth this change, right? Now that's the third verse. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, right? There it is. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, right? So what you're seeing is, a change in the joyous spirit to be one of what's the word? As the scripture says in the book of Ecclesiastes. Matter of fact, I'll grab it. This isn't the one in Ecclesiastes, but it speaks about better it is to go into the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. And ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shah is making everybody feel that mournful state, right? I know I'm gonna have to hit up the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter as well, just because this is exactly what we're witnessing, man. There's Isaiah 24. Matter of fact, before I go there, I'll just go right into the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter, just to continue to speak about the work. See, Isaiah 24 is going into the spirit of Babylon failing and the people feeling it. So Lord will, after Isaiah 19, I'll go into, Isaiah 24. But for now, let's hit this up, man. It's Isaiah 19. That's 20. Here we go. And I'll get to the point. It's Isaiah 19:3. And it reads, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. Right? It says, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. Right? Because when these truckers start becoming affected by what's going on, hey, that's when hey, we're nigh even closer into the end. Here it is. You have the farmers who grow your crops that are in your grocery stores, and they're not having anybody to pick these fields. With the northern kingdom being targeted, which we understand that same target is going to be on the southern kingdom's back. But as of right now, Yahweh Shema Shah has it primarily heavily on the northern kingdom, right? But we also know that once those crops are picked, those trucks are supplied and brought to those grocery stores. So when the truckers are at a lack of work, it's going to be bad news, man. And ultimately, we already understand that we have to rely upon Yahweh Shema Shai, for all that we do. But it's going to become even more of upon a reliance, man, because things will be changed for us as well. But this is why we're tapped into the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, because we understand, that we're going to need them. Being fully dependent and not trusting in the shadow of Egypt, as everybody else is. See, when everybody becomes affected, people are going to rush into these grocery stores, and it's going to be a bloodbath at your local Walmart, man. At your local Family Dollar, so forth and so on. People are going to be running out of the stores with baskets and are going to be met with violence. Women who are seen by themselves are going to be targets. Because they're weaker vessels, and that's when women are going to actually understand what was holding men back from actually bringing forth judgment unto them, man. And it was just the fact that 911, was in effect. Now I want to keep reading this. It says in the Egyptians, because the scripture specified how, when all hell breaks loose, these people are going to be seeking for answers. And ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shai isn't going to allow those answers to be given. Because when you yet had liberty, you did what? You played with that grace period. Speaking for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Right? So, Jake is going to, and not only Jake, but all these heathen as well are going to be seeking unto these left-hand powers to receive some type of answers or comfort. And it's not going to be given, because the Lord is going to confound those left-hand magi's as well. This is 4. And it reads, and the Egyptians will I give into the hand of a cruel Lord. And right now we're seeing that cruel Lord work, right? Whom we believe is Donald Trump, man. Right? Here it is he's moving things and creating hatred amongst all types of people within this country, which is ultimately just furthering division, right? Now to continue, it says, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. Now I'm going to jump down. I'm going to jump down to 8th verse. It says, the fishers also shall mourn, right? The fishermen. Hey, here it is. And you've had articles that came out basically stating that the shrimp population that the fishermen are bringing up have radiation in them, man. Right? So it's causing people to what? Get sick and die. When you shouldn't be eating them anyways. And that's why it's beautiful, because we've been warning you of the Levitical law. You know? So all you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that are eating of that, hey, the judgment is, hey, you're supposed to perish of that judgment, man. Because that's just simple. Right? It says, the fisher shall mourn. All they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament. And they that spread the nets upon the waters shall languish. Moreover, the scripture says, they that work in fine flax and they that weave network shall be confounded. Right? Shall be confounded. It says, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fish. Now I'm going to jump down to where the scripture speaks about there shall not be any work for Egypt. Right? Salakia. This is verse 14. And it reads, Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall thou be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Right? And that's what we're coming down to. Work being seized, not only for the trucking industry, but for everyone, man. See, we know that he is going to conduct another PSA or PS op, man. And in doing that, that's going to create another lockdown. Right? So draconian rule is going to be forced upon the citizens once again. But this time it's not going to be, a release of comfort, much like the release after the 19, man. You're going to be left with whatever knowledge and wisdom that you have stored up. That's going to be it, man. Because in the midst of this, Yahweh Shema Shah is also going to conduct that famine of the word. So those that have the knowledge, hey, you have the oil in your lamps. Those without the knowledge, your lamps are going to burn out. So these are just thoughts through the spirit, that I was meditating on as I was driving, man. Because you still see a lot of action, and commerce being done in Babylon. But soon all that is going to change, man. And it's for the better in our case. Though we have to live through this madness, though it's going to be different and hell upon us, hey, this is the only way to the kingdom, man. And that's a realization that you must come to. You must come at peace, with understanding that there must be chaos before there's paradise. Once you get that in your mind, understand that Yahweh Shema Shah is also going to, fight for you, man. He's going to fight for us, man. He's not going to allow... Hey, he isn't going to win this one. Esau Edom is not going to win this fight, man. Yeah, he's going to come upon us, but fuck it, man. He has to. Does not the scripture speak about how he has to come down to us for a standard to be lifted? So guess what? Yahweh Shema Shah is going to allow him to come down upon us so the Lord can work. So he can show forth that power, much like he showed in the time of Egypt. That's the point, man. And I know we're bouncing everywhere through the spirit, but this is how the spirit is moving at the moment, man. Because it's all playing into prophecy at the end of the day. All the words that are speaking out, the words of Yahweh Shema Shah's men, is all prophecy. Because this is what's hot. Well, hey, how can we not speak about the testimony? Right? So that's the point right there. Isaiah 19, there shall be no work for Egypt. The Lord is causing division. He's causing all types of hell to come for our benefit, man. He's doing this so that what? He can establish forth that government in the kingdom to come. And it's going to come soon, man. Once these prophecies start rolling out, man, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. They're not going to cease. The scripture tells us that in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, man. About who can turn away these plagues when the Lord has sent them. And that's a rhetorical question. Because once these prophecies are rolling, which they are, hey, it's over after that, man. The end of this age is hey, in the eyes of the Lord, seconds away. You know, for us, it'll be, you know, a length of time. But in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, hey, this is seconds. If 1,000 days is as 1 year, right? It's like, or 1,000 years is as 1 day. Then what is going to be the ending of this kingdom? You know, once all hell breaks loose, that's going to be seconds for the Lord. You know? I'm going to grab that in the book of Isaiah 24th chapter. You know, because it still plays a major role. Right? Because in the midst of these people starving, because that's what's going to happen. You know? With these trucking industries plummeting, you know, with the grinding ceasing, you know, with no one able to pick these crops, people are going to starve, man. Cannibalism is coming back in a huge way. And it sounds crazy to say, oh, people will be eating people, but guess what? The scriptures tell us that people are going to be eating people again. As it happened in the besiegements of Samaria, you know, as it happened in Rome, right? Speaking of 70 AD, guess what? It has to happen again. So lucky. This is coming from the book of Isaiah, the 24th chapter. And I'll start here at 7. And it reads, the new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. And that's ultimately because Yahweh Shema Shai is ripping that you know, false mirth or that forced mirth spirit out of this place. People are having to come back into reality. You know, you can only hide your feelings in your phone for so long. You can only watch so many TikToks. You can only be on social media for so long before you have to understand that, hey, you still have bills that's coming next month, and your job ain't paying you no more, and your time is continuously being upon a repetitive cycle. You know, that club life is gone. That turn up spirit is shot. Right? So I'm gonna keep reading. This is verse 8. The mirth of Tabret ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoiceth endeth.
Speed check reported ahead on I-15 South.
Hey, call on, my shot. Alright, I'm going to speed limit. It says, the mirth of Tabret ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. Right? Hey, and especially being in Las Vegas, man, you see that heavily. You know? Hey, the strip, I remember growing, because I grew up here, man. You know? Hey, I remember, you know, the strip being full every season of the year. Every season of the year, man. You know? You would see tourism at an all-time high, especially around every holiday, so-called holiday, right? People would be coming in plane by plane. Stores packed. The strip was packed even in the winter in the brick cold, man. Now, hey, you drove past the strip, you know, and you be like, damn, this all the people? You know, it's gotten to the point where these hotels have tried to take away service fees just so people could return into this place, man. Hey, but that's not enough. Because the price is still high, and your dollar doesn't stretch like it once did. You know, that weight of that dollar has dramatically decreased. So people don't have that same $250 to $500 to spend, you know, a night or two in Vegas anymore. That's gone, man. That's gone. So guess what? It's only getting worse. It's only getting worse here. So that mirth is gone. If Sin City, you know, it isn't bringing forth the money that it once did, hey, because you have hotel layoffs, you know, and here it is, the hospitality industry is peak. But that industry, they're laying off hundreds of thousands of people every year. Hey, here in Vegas, man, The top restaurants are closing. You know, we're talking about Michelin star restaurants here. That in itself lets you know, right? You still have certain buffets that are open. You still have certain tourism from, Moab, Ammon, Elam. But for the most part, that's dissipated, man. And the scriptures are clear evidence of it, right? It says the mirth of Tabret ceaseth, right? The noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. Continuing, it says they shall not drink wine with a song. It's like they shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it, right? Another party capital here. Hey, it was a video that the Elder Cartes sent forth onto the chat. And it was basically saying that clubs are now saying men can come into the club free and women have to pay. Because they're losing businesses. Clubs are shutting down because, Yahweh Shem Shai has put a spirit in man to where they're not even wanting to chase the women anymore. So that whole mirth of going to the club and partying and buying a section, getting drinks, that is gone too. See, because when you take a look at the parallels of the fall of the Roman Empire into the revitalization, the fall of the revitalized Roman Empire, they're the same. Folly was at an all-time high, but that soon came to an end. Their denarius, which was the currency of the Roman Empire, was becoming devalued, much like the dollar. The army was stretched thin, just like here in Babylon. So we're at the end of this place, man. Just to put it plainly, It says the city, it's like they shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. It says the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. There is a crying for wine in the streets. And, that's going to be doctrine as far as the understanding. Because the famine of the word is going to hit. But we also understand, as the scripture says, the Most High made wine for man. And it relaxes man, It brings forth a comfort unto them. But when your comforts are stripped away, that strong drink is going to be a curse unto you. Because everybody's going to have to come back to the reality from no substances. Here it is. America is a country full of drug addicts. It's a country full of drug addicts. Whether it be Esau on his opioids or niggas on, weed and pills too. Or strong drink for everyone, right? You're going to have to come into reality that you're going to have to live without those things, right? It says there's a crying for wine in the streets, and the fact that no answers will be given, people are going to be wanting answers, and Yahweh Shem Shai is going to remove us from these places where answers were given. We understand that he is categorizing. I can't even, put it like that. I'm just saying he's using forth his categorio, and he's going to take off all our videos from the web, man. So the ability to access this word is going back to that drought or that famine of the word. You're not going to have it. So that crying of wine is physical, but more so spiritual, and the spiritual is going to hit harder. It says all joy is darkened, the mirth of the land is gone. And we're soon going to witness the mirth being completely desolate, right? With people not able to eat, with more and more people not being able to pay their rent, their bills, and it's going to get very grimy here in the States, man. More and more people are going to be robbing, killing. This is just the reality of what it is. And if you're not covered under that hedge, you're going to fall victim to it. Yahweh Shem Shai is everybody numbered, man. The elect are just numbered unto salvation. While the 2/3 and everyone else is going to be numbered unto judgment. That's all it is. But that's pretty much the point, And it's easy for the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shai, to just have the trucking industry start the hell, man. An EMP or something of that sort. The trucking, the Lord put the spirit on me to just meditate about the trucking. That was just the startup of the lesson, man. What sparked it. But all in all, this place is ending, man. And it's beautiful. But hey, because we look forward unto a reign without hell. Unto a reign without worrying. A reign without being in captivity and oppressed. You know, a reign where time isn't used as a weapon against us. We don't even know what it feels like to live. The only time we feel alive is when we're reading, studying, and with brothers. See, and when we say that, people don't understand it because they just don't have the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahshua upon them. So they're not going to get it. You know? But that's when we're actually the most alive, man. When we're in the spirit. You know? But that was the point, you know, not to make the lesson too lengthy. I know it is, but it was in transit through the spirit, you know, to touch on several topics. But Lord willing, it was edifying into the body. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakah HaKodash. A double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone. And a sincere shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.